What's up, guys? Welcome back to River Rock channel. So today we're going to talk about a little bit of the inflation update. Um, Recently, there's been a lot of investment banks releasing their opinions. Um, Most of them believe that inflation right now we are reaching on top of inflation, but I'm afraid long ago I've said that this inflation is inevitable and it is very likely to get deteriorate with the Russian and Ukraine war intensifies. So right now we're seeing this news. Biden meets the Fed Chairman Powell, says fighting inflation is top economic priority. At the moment, this is quite intense because it has been a very long time since the president directly meets with the Federal Reserve Chairman. Because as we all know, central banks tend to be a little bit of so-called independent, likely not being affected by the president's or its will. But right now, it seems that it is such a big deal. The inflation is becoming a very intense problem. So Mr. President Joe Biden himself has to meet with Powell at the White House. It happened on Tuesday, which is the May 31st of 2022. And they've been talking about very interesting signal about these historic high levels of inflation, and it is the administration's top priority to make sure that the economy remains strong. Well, unfortunately, right now, my point of view is that right now we're facing a technical recession, and we will see if Federal Reserve is going to help us to get its pace back, to see if the strong intervention from Federal Reserve is going to help stimulate the economy. But the problem right now is it seems that the Russian and Ukraine war hasn't been stopped, and right now we have crap loads of troubles and obstacles we have to face, and we have all these supply side problem, which is the Shanghai lockdown basically is deteriorating the entire global supply chain issue. So to face with all these matters, Federal Reserve has to release a series of policies to help the economy. But Federal Reserve right now is facing with a more difficult challenge. Is how does Federal Reserve be able to solve the inflation problem while successfully exit the QE, I would say QE's phases, successfully exit that QE phases. So it's the best outcome is Fed is likely to accomplish one of these two goals. I highly suspect that the Federal Reserve would have the capability to solve both issue, like to solve two of the very important issues at the same time. I strongly doubt that, because it is so difficult to ease the inflation problem while actually the QE. We are talking about two entirely different things. Because when you are trying to suppress that inflation is going to you're gonna have more. You're gonna spend more money on foods. You're gonna spend more money on electricity. You're gonna spend more money on natural gas and etc. Right? And all of a sudden there'll be a lot of companies firing. You have employment rates go up, and you have all these difficult situation happen, and the entire engine of economy was slowly eases out, because that means a lot of people would be unemployed, and companies would go bankrupt, and you have a lot of very high default rates. So if you want to fight inflation, you have to raise interest rate. At the same time, you have to, I would say, you have to shrink. It's the balance sheet. You have to shrink the Federal Reserve balance sheet. So that's the main problem. If you try to shrink the balance sheet, then you hurt the asset prices. You hurt most of the asset, and then you're hurting the liquidity left in the market and likely to trigger credit crisis. So the last thing the Federal Reserve want is to trigger any form of credit problem in the system, because as we all know, as we have seen in 2008 financial crisis, it is such intense. If you're having these credit meltdown, all right. So if you're having these credit meltdown, you're gonna have gonna pain in the ass, and then you're gonna have a lot of problems, more problems than you can handle, right? You are going to see a lot of collaterals default, and then you got yourself in another situation. Then you have to, you have to reboost the QE, and that would be the worst situation. Yes. So the last thing Federal Reserve want would be the credit meltdown, and you have to ease that inflation. In the same time, you want to exit the QE. So right now, basically, I would say Federal Reserve is very, very, has tied itself into a very, very corner situation. So, which is the reason why President Biden right now meeting with the Jerome Powell to discuss, and you can notice that Joe Biden is bringing his best friend, Mrs. Janet Yellen, which is the ex-chairman of Federal Reserve, right? So Mrs. Janet Yellen is quite different, because apparently she was a Federal Reserve ex-chairman, and she had a lot of experience and in QT, what we call as quantitative tightening situation, and she definitely understands the situation what Chairman Jerome Powell has to go through. But right now, Janet Yellen serves as the treasurer, which is the top officer of U.S. Treasury. So those three meeting in the same room, definitely not a great signal for the entire U.S. economy and also international economy system. That means that flash a very strong signal that they are having a big problem. They kind of wanted to discuss a solution to exit with that problem, and we have no idea how big the problem is. But they are trying to come out and say everything is going to be fine. Right before 2008 financial crisis, the treasurer, Henry Paulson, used to say our economy system is strong. And then what happened next?